Okay.
That is a really nice feature.
Yeah, that is a nice feature right there, because now you have two for the price of one. And because the blade goes in reverse rotation, it lasts a lot longer. And this is the saw that is known to cut
Welcome
straight.
to Sam's Garage, presented by NH Oil Undercoating. We're starting off with the Summit Bandit Project, installing a baffled EFI fuel system to keep things clean, consistent, and leak-free. Then the Holley OBS 454 gets a much-needed cool down with a frostbite radiator, electric fans, and fresh hoses to handle the southern heat. Later, we give a low-mileage Z its annual service. Oil, coolant, and tires, because even garage queens deserve proper care. And finally, we build a 347 stroker for Victor's 66 Mustang, a power-packed small block with enough heart and horsepower to light up the pavement. Let's get to work. Today, we're fueling progress on the Summit Bandit, installing a baffled EFI tank, fuel pump, and filter to keep the setup road ready and reliable. Clean plumbing, smart routing, and no room for leaks. Let's build this thing right.
All right, so this week we're continuing on with our Summit Racing Bandit project in the way of the fuel system. Now, anytime you guys upgrade to an EFI system, you want to upgrade the fuel tank also to a baffled EFI fuel tank.
Yeah, it's really preventing a problem. It's almost guaranteed to happen if you don't do it this way.
It really is. And then you go to Summit Racing. I got a tanks.com tank. I got the fuel pump kit. I got a nice sending unit where you just bolt it right in and forget about it. We're going to run a Summit Racing fuel filter. I'll show you the benefits to using this particular fuel filter. They took some of the variables out of it, no leaks at all. Once we attack that, the engine is not in yet, so I'm going to take my feed line, take it up to the engine bay, zip tie it right there. Depending on where the fuel rails land, I'll go ahead and connect it.
Sounds good.
Now, the reason why it's important to use a baffled EFI tank, because when you get low on fuel and you take off at the light, all the fuel sloshes to the back, and then when you hit the brakes, all the fuel sloshes to the front.
Yeah.
And if you have just a pickup, it's gonna run the fuel system dry. So in this case, what we have is a fuel injection tank. We've got a hanger right here. Then we're gonna top it off with the Summit Racing fuel filter. And the reason why this is a game changer is that it's the same fuel filter that we would use, except these old ones have push-on fittings. And if it's like this, binded, it'll leak. If it's cold, it'll leak from the O-rings. This has welded bungs on it already, so therefore you eliminate 3 fittings, saving you money.
Yeah.
So this is a game changer.
Getting rid of the risk of leakage.
So what you want to do is you take your measuring tape, go down to the bottom, and we see we have 8 3/4 to the bottom of the gas tank flange. So I'm going to put my fuel pump 8 1/4 to 8 1/2. So what we're going to do is we're going to take this pump and our hanger, we're going to position it, we're going to measure to the bottom of the sock, we're going to mark the line on the black, cut it, install the fuel pump, zip tie it to the return line, cut the return line depending on the depth as well, and then we should be good to go in the car.
And these gaskets seem to be like a cork material. Is there a specific reason for that?
It's just old school cork. What it does is it crushes. And in this particular case, it won't dry, whereas this rubber one will eventually dry and shrink on you.
Right.
Now, when it comes to a valve cover gasket, I wouldn't use cork because it also
more
absorbs
porous.
oil.
Yeah.
And it'll eventually wick it out. All right, so what I did was figure out exactly where I was gonna put my fuel filter, and then I took 2 hoses because you have a feed and a return to the filter from the tank. You cannot get to the fittings on the tank once it's installed, so I went ahead and did it, brought the hoses with some extra over to where my fuel filter is gonna be, and I marked the feed line with blue tape. So you can see that blue tape, it's the feed. The feed on the filter is the outside nipple. The one in the middle is gonna be the return, and the one by itself is gonna be the feed that goes to the front of the car where the engine's gonna live. All right, so we got the fuel system done on our Summit Racing Bandit project. We've got the tank in place, Ep4 from tanks.com. The fuel filter's in place. Remember guys, there is a ground strap on the fuel filter. Make sure that it's grounded through the hardware to the car. And then we've got a feed line going up. We've zip tied it, separating it from the factory fuel lines, going all the way up to the car. The next thing, I think this guy is ready for an engine.
Yeah, I think so.
Yep.
Yeah, this looks really good. And you know, with all, especially with an old car, whenever you change out the gas tank, it's always nice because just over time they're gross and they're kind of corroded and heavy. And this tanks.com tank is really nice.
It is nice, and it took roughly 2 hours to do this job. I think we're good. Next week, we're going to put the engine and transmission in.
Welcome back to Sam's Garage, presented by NH Oil Undercoating. With the 454 now in place, it's time to cool things down. We're upgrading the Holley OBS project with a frostbite radiator, electric fans, and fresh hoses. Everything this big block needs to beat the southern heat.
So this is the week that we tackled the cooling system on our Holley OBS project. This is a 454 in it now. Started off with a 4.3 liter V6, and I've gone to Holley.com for everything I need to do the engine swap. In this particular case, I went with a frostbite radiator, got me a fan shroud and electric fans. The cool thing is that the upper and lower radiator hoses, I just went to a 1992 SS 454 Silverado, off-the-shelf parts. Works no problem. We're going to go ahead and put a 160 thermostat in it so that we have no issues down here in the south. Run new heater hoses and we should be good to go. So when doing the cooling system on this particular application, I got pretty lucky because GM did make this truck into 454, all the 2500s and 3500s, also big blocks, okay? So I went ahead and went to Frostbite, Holley.com, got me a radiator, went ahead and got me a fan shroud to fit the core. It fits in the factory location. However, the factory radiator comes with a fan clutch and a big shroud that goes over to the engine. I went ahead and cut the shroud so I can use the top portion of that shroud to keep my frostbite radiator in place. I went to the local parts store, went ahead and got me an upper and lower radiator hose for this application with that engine. It was easy, not having to think about it going over there with coat hangers. Went ahead and installed the radiator, installed the upper and lower hoses, not forgetting to install a 160-degree thermostat. Went ahead and installed that, put my heater hoses in, everything is buttoned up. Now in this particular case, I did not use the transmission cooler that's incorporated within the radiator. I went ahead and put a nice fin unit on the outside, keeping it external, keeping the two temperatures separate so that the transmission will be a little bit more efficient. And when I went to go fill the system, before I do anything, a lot of these radiators will come and you will forget to check the petcock will be completely loose. So what I like to do is a pressure test in the cooling system just to make sure I have no leaks. Maybe I forgot a plug or something. But in this case, my petcock was open. I went ahead and closed it. I held 20 PSI for at least 15 minutes. I know I'm good. But just in case the tool lied to me, I went ahead and introduced water to the cooling system first, but not without cracking a hole on top of the intake manifold by removing my sensor so that I got a bleeder somewhere for the air to escape from. That way I can get easily 5 gallons of water in this thing without having to worry about bleeding it, without having to worry about an air pocket. As soon as I see that water coming up on that intake manifold, I'm going to go ahead and plug it up, and then the rest of the water is going to be here on top, filling up the radiator hose. I should be good to go. Now, in this case, I went ahead and used regular water, and I used a concentrated coolant bottle. The reason why I use concentrate antifreeze is because I can get 2 gallons for the same price as the one ready-to-use bottles. And in this case, like I said, this car gets driven, so there's no need for distilled water. Only you classic car guys or you trailer queens need the distilled water because you're mostly storing your vehicles. And when it's being stored, you don't want the water to break down. If you have an aluminum engine, you'll create electrolysis. It's not very good for the system. But when you're cycling the system, you're using it, you're maintaining the coolant on it, you're good to go with just regular tap water. All right, there we go. We got the cooling system completed. We are 2 steps away from getting this OBS done. Next week, we're going to install the Holley Sniper Ep4, and then after that, we're going to finish up all the odds and ends that we need to get this thing mobile on the street. What do you think? Man, she's grown, hasn't she? If you guys are working in a shop, you already have a mess with all the projects that are undone in the shop. The last thing you want to do is have a chop saw making more of a mess, right?
That's right.
They have dust everywhere. They shoot flames everywhere. You got to use eye protection.
Metal shavings all over.
Yep. So what I like to use is the hem saw. What we have here is a 4 3/4 inch saw. This one right here works as an upright as well. These go in reverse rotation, making it a nice, straight, cleaner cut, and the blade lasts much longer. When you go to tighten your blade, it's got a clutch, so it won't allow you to over tighten that blade. And both saws are designed with variable speed motors. What do you think?
Yeah, very nice saws. I like the thickness of the blade. I like the adjustability, and I really like having a saw that has the feature where it feeds down through the material as opposed to having to move the material through. Very nice feature. I like this saw a lot.
And this particular saw and this saw on this side both have a 60-degree miter on them.
Really nice.
So you can
very
move
nice.
it right there on the table.
I could use one of these in my shop.
So if you guys are one of those hobbyists at home or you have a real shop, go check out Hem Saw. They're the last saw made right here in America.
Welcome back to Sam's Garage, presented by NH Oil Undercoating. It's time to show some love to our classic Z car with a well-earned spa day, oil change, coolant service, and a proper tire rotation. Sure, it only drives 1,000 miles a year, but maintenance doesn't take vacations.
So today I'm really happy because Sam has carved out some of his precious time to let me bring my car in and get it serviced. It's a very special car. He bought it for me 17 years ago. It doesn't get a lot of love for him, but it does get to live in the garage, so I'm happy about that.
It's a Z. It's very, very hard to work on. And it gets its annual oil change, and that's where we're at today. We're going to do an annual oil change, a tire rotation, but this time we're going to do a little drain and fill in the cooling system as well. So the first thing you want to do, of course, is get the car up in the air or up on jack stands so you can access underneath. Then you're going to remove the oil drain plug, making sure that you don't blast yourself with a bunch of hot oil. Secondly, you want to take off the oil filter, making sure that you spin it free first, let the oil drain out of it before you completely remove it from the engine. After you removed it from the engine, you want to take a look at the flange and make sure that the O-ring from the old filter did not get stuck on the flange. Put the oil filter in, making sure it's nice and tight, only hand tight. You don't want to put a tool on it when you go to tighten it. Then you want to do a good general inspection underneath the car while you're under there. You can see there's some wetness on the shield. That wetness is coming from the oil pan itself. I got to go ahead and do an oil pan gasket within the next 5 years. Then you want to go ahead and take a look at the antifreeze. The antifreeze should not sit in cars, especially if you have an aluminum block, for longer than about 5 years. On an aluminum block, it'll create electrolysis, which is basically rust, corrosion for aluminum. It'll eat it away. You don't want that. So you want to service your cooling system. I went ahead and removed the little trap hole where you can see the petcock for the radiator. Put a hose on it because we don't want to make a mess. Loosened it, got the coolant out of it. You guys have to make sure that when you're draining the coolant in the system, you want to remove the radiator cap so you can introduce air. Now what we're going to do is come down and do a tire rotation. This does have a staggered setup, meaning the rear wheels are wider than the front wheels. And so when you do that, you don't want to do directional tires because then you can't rotate your tires. At least in this setup, you can go left to right and have the tire spin the wrong way, meaning the opposite way, so that you don't have any memory in the tire, which creates noise. So on an asymmetrical setup, you can rotate your tires left to right. On a staggered rotational setup, you have to go to a local shop and have someone use their corgi machine to dismount the tire, flip it, then put the tires on the opposite side of the car. And you want to do that because that's going to keep the tire quiet and lasting a lot longer. So rotation is very important, especially for you trucks. And then you also want to do a quick light inspection, making sure all your light bulbs work. Change your wiper blades every 6 months. Buy the cheap ones. Don't go broke buying expensive ones. Change them every 6 months. That way you guys got fresh wipers all the time. But don't forget that after you've poured your new oil in, go to the vehicle, crank the car, making sure oil pressure comes up, then turn off the car, wait 30 seconds and check the oil level. That's the best way to check it if you don't know how much oil your car takes. Maintenance is important. You'll save yourself money down the road. Just when she thought I was a deadbeat husband for not doing the maintenance on her car, what did the sticker say?
It was February of 24.
1 year. I'm 3 months late. And it's important that you know how to work on your car yourself, how to do the little things, check your hood, check your oil, do the rotation on your tire, check your air pressure. That's all important.
Yeah,
right?
It is. Basic things that everyone should know. I mean, you never know when something could happen, so just basic things that you can do at home to keep your car in good shape.
Welcome back to Sam's Garage, presented by NHOU. Today, we're building a 347 stroker for Victor's 66 Mustang. A street-ready small block with big burnout energy. With parts from Summit, Edelbrock, and Don at Ewing Auto, this motor's got heart, history, and horsepower.
I got a good customer's car in the shop. His name is Victor. He's got a 66 Mustang, as you can see. He's going through cancer treatments right now. So while he's doing that, he wants to do some burnouts. We're going to build him a 347 stroker.
Yeah, he's going to really enjoy it.
Should be enough horsepower to do those burnouts, Vic. So what I want to do for Vic is build him a completely new motor so that he can sell that motor. Now this one does have a front clip addition. I had Don from Ewing Auto Machine, who's done all my work for 35 years, build this, put it together for me. It has an Eagle balanced rotating assembly. I went to Edelbrock for everything else. We went to Edelbrock for the custom grind cam that they made especially for you, Vic. We have Summit Racing lifters. Because this is an early block, it had flat tappet cam and lifters. We want to go to a roller. Now, the first thing we're going to do is put the bottom end together by installing the camshaft and the timing components, along with the oil pump, timing cover, and the oil pan. Then we're ready for the top end. We have an awesome camshaft that Edelbrock special ground for Vic. It's going to be 514 lift on the intake and exhaust, 226 duration on intake and exhaust with a 113 lobe separation. When you're working on a Ford, remember that the bearings taper so that when you put the cam in the first bearing, it's going to be loose. Don't get alarmed. As you go, the bearings will match the camshaft. Once those are installed, I can go ahead and put the timing cover on, making sure that I'm going to be at top dead center, 0, and don't touch it so that when you stab the distributor, you know you're at top dead center and you're not going to be 180 off. Now, because we're using Summit Racing's lifters and not the comp cam conversion, you have to put the lifters in first before you put the cylinder heads on. And then, as you can see, I've got my Summit Racing roller rockers. These are the expensive ones. They're very nice, okay? If you guys wanted to keep it OEM, you can go to comp cams. You got this, plus the retainers. And these retainers are gonna go in, and just like, this is all OEM stuff, but comp cam offers it to you in an aftermarket kit. And then you can use your regular Summit Racing OEM Ford lifters and save some money. All right, so because we have our Summit Racing lifters and our aftermarket comp cam rocker arm, we need to make sure that we have the correct push rod length. They make these adjustable push rods. You can buy at Summit Racing. I'm gonna put it in number 1 because I know number 1, I'm at top dead center. You're gonna look and make sure you're at the bottom here, no play. You're gonna look at your roller on the valve. You wanna make sure you're in the middle. If you know your push rod length is good, we need to have a preload. So what we're gonna do, add 50 thousandths to this, turning it, and then we're gonna order our push rods and we're gonna measure this first. To complement everything, we went with an Edelbrock air gap intake manifold. That's gonna keep the air charge much cooler, giving us more power. The tall valve covers are a necessity because we have stud mounted roller rockers. They're gonna be higher. That's not gonna allow for any low profile valve covers to clear the roller rockers. You know, for a Ford engine, that looks really good.
It looks great.
The Edelbrock top end kit really makes it stand out. Those valve covers make it look old school, like it's supposed to be in that 66 Mustang.
Absolutely.
So all we gotta do is get our push rods. They'll be coming from Summit Racing. We'll go ahead and put on our roller rockers, adjust them, and slap this thing in the car.
Be sure to check out Sam's Garage on these other media platforms. Send us questions and feedback to info@samsgaragetv.com. From fuel and cooling systems to full engine builds and annual service, we've covered it all. The Bandit's ready for EFI, the OBS runs cooler, the Z is tuned up, and Victor's Mustang, it's got a fresh 474 with a mission. Thanks for watching Sam's Garage.